Welcome into Instant Replay. I'm Ben George. Got some videos I want to share with you today. Doing a little prep for the college football season. Went back 20 years to look back on that BCS selection show, which we might talk about here on the channel a little bit. But I came across the old bowl announcements. And I'm a big football fan. If you've listened to the show at all, you probably remember that I went to Alabama. So I've been a big fan of college football for as long as I can remember. But I don't really remember at all the way bowl games used to be announced. A lot's changed in 20 years. We know that. Technology is so much different, right? With the advent of the iPhone coming around the mid-2000s, it changed the game in a lot of respects. But few places you can actually see the change in technology more so than television. I mean, I'm going to show you some clips today that are, again, are only 20 years old, okay? And they might look to you like they were from the 80s. And you watch clips even just a couple years after the ones I'm going to show you today, and it looks night and day from what you see on television then versus now. The crispness, the sharpness, HD television, it changed the game. But I forgot that bowl game announcements used to literally be announced on television, right? Now we get the previews and the projections and the predictions starting in January, right? As soon as the season ends, you get ready for the upcoming year. I'm reading Phil Steele's magazine right now, getting ready for the 2023 season. And of course, you see the projections that he makes and all the other experts. But it actually used to be where ESPN would host their bowl selection show, much like they do the playoff now. And they would actually show these bowl heads, the head of these different bowl games, come on television in front of a live crowd in the ESPN Zone, okay, and actually announce the matchups and invite the teams literally to the game. So let me unpack that one more second, okay? This used to be on TV. They used to be live from the ESPN Zone, which, again, not around. I think it was the Times Square ESPN Zone that they were doing it in at the time. So that's changed a lot. Reese Davis, Trev Alberts, and Mark May were on this broadcast. This is one specifically from 2003. But again, I never remembered that this was the case. So I first want to show you one. This is the Outback Bowl announcement. Okay, this gives you a real taste of exactly what it looked like back then.
Now and continue with our selection process as we get you set with all of the matchups coming in the college football bowl season. We'll go back to the ESPN Zone in Atlanta now, and the Outback Bowl is up.
Good evening. My name is Terry Bean, chairman of the Outback Bowl. It is my pleasure to extend our formal invitation to the Iowa Hawkeyes of the Big Ten and to the Florida Gators of the Southeastern Conference. Game to be played January 1, 11 a.m. at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida.
All right, so a couple of takeaways there. First off, it's the same. Isn't that the same Outback Bowl matchup we've had like every single year, Iowa versus Florida? It seems like it. But how crazy is that they used to bring them on, introduce them, bring them on the stage, and do it. Now, again, you might remember this. I don't remember this happening very much. And maybe it's because when I went to school at Alabama, they were not very good in football. Early 2000s, it was not a great time to be a football fan. Not a lot of bowl announcements. But I still don't remember a whole lot of this. And things changed quickly, right? And the 2003 playoffs were obviously very different because the BCS was still in place before the playoff was introduced, a handful, over a decade later. But the BCS was still trying to be figured out. It was early on in that process. But again, these announcements were made. I got one.
Good evening. I'm Lehman Bennett, chairman of the team selection committee for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. On behalf of our city of Atlanta, I take great pleasure in presenting an invitation to the Clemson Tigers from the ACC and the Tennessee Volunteers from the SEC. Game time is 4:30 on Friday afternoon on January the 2nd, right here on ESPN. See you at the Dome.
I mean, how great is that? I mean, and this is too, like, you have the chairman of each bowl game sounds like they are from exactly where the bowl game is being played too. But just a remarkable kind of capsule and just a time period for college football. Again, bowl games were so huge back then, right? I mean, the BCS was still trying to be figured out, but every bowl game truly mattered in a sense. BCS obviously took a little bit of that way, but still the bowls were still, I think, a little more special than they are today. But again, this is only 20 years ago the bowl games were announced like this. Now you pretty much have all the matchups going into that college football playoff selection show on Sundays now. But again, great to watch this. I'm going to drop the video. The link to the video, the ESPN actual broadcast from that day, is a college football bowl selection show. So it's really good because they cover not only each matchup, and they go through a bunch of these different matchups and announcements. We also talk about the national championship that year, which was played between LSU and Oklahoma. That the BCS championship, but again, the number one team in the country that year in the other polls, AP and coaches, was USC. We're going to talk about that, I think, here on the channel as well, as we're on the 20th anniversary of that college football season. What's in store this year? I'm looking forward to it, but we will not see bowl announcements quite like that. Please subscribe to the show if you haven't already. We appreciate the support on the channel. We're going to try to do more stuff here. Obviously, life gets in the way. You get busy with things, but we're going to try to ramp up some more content on the channel. Tell us also what you want to hear. True crime, go back and watch games. You got a suggestion, drop that in for us, a moment in time, a coach rant, whatever. We'll go back, watch, talk about it here on the channel, but we appreciate the support. Noto will be back as well sometime soon. Thanks for watching.